Hi guys, this is Lalana. Thanks for tuning into the Sovereign Path. So today we're going to talk about the 3D relationship with the masculine in the twin flame dynamic. So when we're talking about the 3D relationship in this dynamic, what we're really talking about is having that focus on, as the divine feminine, having that focus on how we are perceiving, wanting, hoping, wishing, trying to manifest the relationship with the twin flame to show up in a similar way as your past 3D relationships have shown up. And so what happens here, and the slippery slope that we hit on this path, is that in the beginning stages, this can feel like a relationship that you've experienced in the past in some ways. For some of you who have dated your twin and then you went into separation, or you've had, romantic interaction with them, or just romantic feelings or whatever else, it can have that very same, that very same emotion that you have experienced in the past with other, soulmate, karma, non-soul family member relationships in the past. But very, very quickly on this path, we will see that this dynamic shifts away from any sort of traditional 3D romantic relationship that we have experienced in the past. And I've talked about this a lot in several of my videos, and there's a reason for this, right? There's a reason that we can't fit this dynamic into the same 3D template of relationship patterns and programs that we have experienced with soulmates and karmics in our past. And the reason for that is because this is your ascension. This is an ascension path, right? And so it isn't about staying in the 3D frequency of fear-based energy. It's about shifting into the 5D frequency of union and of unity consciousness. Since you are dealing with your same consciousness, with the same aspect that is you as you're moving through this path, it can't fit into a 3D paradigm anymore, because the 3D paradigm is based on polarization, right? That's what it is. That's what separation is. And so we can have that polarization and that separation, as I've said before, with other romantic partnerships, but we can't have it with our same consciousness. We can't have that with our same soul. It just doesn't work. And so this is why when we're always focused on the twin as having a normal relationship with them based on what we've had in the past, it's not going to work, and it's not ever going to work. Because in this dynamic, the whole purpose of it is for you to see your reflection in order for you to ascend. And that's it. It's in order for you to ascend. This is the catalyst for your awakening, right? That's what's going on here. And that's why I've said before, some people can have the romantic relationship with their twin at some point that's lasting and harmonious and all of those sort of things. Absolutely. Some people choose to have all sorts of types of physical harmonious interactions with their twin. But a 3D romantic partnership with the twin is not the purpose of this path. And as soon as we have the understanding that the 3D romantic partnership with the twin doesn't actually work, it never works, and we've all tried to make it work and it just doesn't fit, then we'll have that biggest aha flag moment of saying, okay, wait, maybe that's not what this is. The whole idea that it doesn't work is the biggest red flag. It's the biggest awareness of that's not actually what this is. And the other red flag or awareness is that when you come into neutrality and when you get into those states of balance, suddenly you magnetize the twin back in a much more harmonious way. And you feel better when you're in balance, right? You feel better when you're in neutrality and when you're in inner union. And so those couple of things, they're like the biggest awarenesses of, okay, wait, this isn't just a romantic 3D relationship with someone else. This is coming back into complete union within. And when I'm in union within, when I'm in neutrality, when I'm in balance, even if it's just for those couple days now and then until it finally anchors, and I notice that the reflection from my twin is also harmonious and balanced, and they come in a different energy, yeah, this is not the same as a soulmate relationship. It's not the same as a karmic relationship. And so we really need to have that awareness as we're walking through this path, that the more we're looking at the external aspect of the twin to show up in that way, like in a traditional romantic relationship, you know, and all of the different things that we think that that's supposed to look like, depending on what our belief systems are, that the twin is almost always going to reflect back to you that that's not the way this thing works, right? Because that's not the point of this path. The point of this path is for you to break through your limited beliefs. It's to come into unconditional love, right? It's to come into joy in your higher awarenesses and your higher consciousness, right? It's to come into that interconnectedness with all things. It's to come back into oneness. And so when we're in these higher states that come on when we're in an inner union, then all of these like rules and limited beliefs, and it's supposed to look like this and act like this and talk like this, those things fall away. They fall away. And the reason that they fall away is because those things are based on fear-based energies. They're based on limited belief systems. They're based on saying that certain things have to look a certain way based on what I believe. And if they don't look this way, then that means something's out of alignment or something's wrong or something's off. And so then I get frustrated because it's supposed to look like this and talk like this and act like this and walk like this, right? And so then the twin flame comes around and is like, nope, it doesn't act like this, talk like this, walk like this, none of this. It doesn't translate into any sort of template of relationship that I've had. And so what's the deal? And so that's the deal. It's ascension. It's awakening. It's working with your same consciousness. It's working with your same energy to come out of those beliefs, to come out of the separation, and to come back into oneness. Unconditional love is not being like just a doormat and they're just coming in and out and in and out and in and out and whatever. No, and it's not like a revolving door. Unconditional love means I have grace and reverence and honor for all things. For everyone's, for every path that everyone is walking, right? I hold space for the paths that people are walking. We're not judging them. We're not blaming them. We're not seeing them as good or bad or right or wrong. We are just in a place of inner peace, right? We're back in our soul resonance. Soul doesn't judge. Soul doesn't blame. Soul doesn't hold people accountable. Soul is not over here saying, well, why is the twin doing this and why is the twin doing that? Right? The soul that is you, the higher self that is you, is not saying, well, I wish you'd get your shit together and heal your stuff. I wish you would awaken, right? I wish we could be in a 3D relationship. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know why we can't communicate with each other. The soul isn't doing any of that, right? It's the ego mind and the programmings that are doing that. And the ascension is breaking through the ego mind and the programs that are doing that. And it's bringing you into the awareness of what it feels like to have a high vibrational interaction with self and with other, right? That's what awakening does. That's what ascension does. That's what shifting into the fifth dimensional frequency does. That's what shifting into New Earth does. It's a completely different vibratory state that we are moving into. And that's just what this path is. And so when we're always focused on the 3D, and we're looking at how the 3D, is out of alignment or is distorted or, blah, 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 all the sort of stuff, then again, we're perpetuating that same narrative. We're perpetuating that same timeline to continue to show up for us because it's showing us on some level, where do I have a limited belief here, right? Where am I running some sort of program? Where do I have some kind of, an abandonment wounding or a self-worth wounding? What is it that I feel so triggered about that I feel like my ego is trying to just grab onto the reins and control this entire path? Because that's ultimately what the ego is trying to do. It's trying to control this entire path. And the way that it does that is saying that, no, it has to look like this. No, this is the conditioning that I have. No, this is the experience, that I've had, and whatever else. And so the soul is always trying, or the ego mind is always trying to step to the forefront, and it's always saying, but only the 3D is real, right? This is why when we come out of meditation, we're having like a really good meditative state, and we're like really like honed in to the soul frequency, soul resonance, and we're having a great meditation. Some of us will be communicating, with the divine, with the higher self, with the higher masculine, whatever that might be. You're just tapped back into the true vibration that is you. And then you come out of meditation and you're like, here again, I'm in the 3D again. And we wonder why these things are having such a difficult time translating. And so this is a process as well. But if we're looking at the 3D as being like, this sucks, or I wish this was different, or, oh, I'm back here again, and all those sort of things, we have to have the awareness that this is still a process of integrating. It's still a process of saying, regardless of whether it's with the twin, or whether it's with the 3D in general, or whether it's with whatever it is, we still need to shift into that place of feeling unconditionally loving. And this will eventually be your default. It will come online, and it'll just be what you are as you shift into inner union. But this place of just being unconditional in general about the 3D, it's just loving the 3D. The 3D is the 3D, right? So we don't have to like villainize it or wonder why I felt so good when I was in meditation because I was tapped into the 5D and higher, and now I feel my vibration is lower when I open my eyes and I look around at the 3D. It's like having that awareness of you're still anchoring your higher vibratory state. And so don't allow your mind to start saying, well, this sucks and blah, 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 da, 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 right? It's still like maintaining that frequency and learning to maintain that frequency when you step out of meditation. And so it's the same thing as when we're learning to like bring all of these things to the forefront, and we're learning to clear these energies, and we're learning to transmute energy and stay in our higher vibratory state. Then at the same time, when we see the 3D masculine, we're still maintaining our high vibratory state. We're still not allowing that to rock us, right? To throw us out of alignment, because now I'm still trying to fit this situation, this dynamic into that old 3D paradigm. At this point, right, when you're starting to feel this higher buoyancy energy come online, and you're starting to feel that you're coming more and more into balance within, the interaction with the twin flame and the physical, it's not going to feel all that 3D anymore, because you're not going to be vibrating at separation consciousness anymore, right? You still have your 3D avatar. Things are still 3D, right, as far as shape. But as far as your frequency, it's not going to be in separation consciousness. The more and more you shift on this path, the more and more you ascend on this path. It's going to anchor in the 5D. And when it anchors in the 5D, this is unity consciousness. This is union. And so the interaction between you and the twin physically is going to be based on that union, because now this is what you hold within you. And so now this is what is being reflected back to you. And in this place, you're not going to be looking for that same 3D relationship template that you've been looking for before to fit with the twin flame. Because now you're going to be the embodiment of unconditional love and of joy and of peace and of oneness. You're going to be back in the resonance of your true essence of soul. And so that's why I say that the relationship with the twin, once you get to this place, it shows up in a completely different frequency. It shows up in a completely different vibration. It doesn't show up in that same 3D relationship template that we have been experiencing in the past. And so this is why I say it's important not to always be focusing on the 3D masculine and what they're doing and the 3D relationship and why it looks like this and why it's not showing up like that based on all of the other things, because you're literally dropping that if you're ascending. And not only with the twin, like if you went to date a high vibrational soulmate, right? Or if you just decided to be on your own, whatever it might be, you're still anchoring that high vibratory fifth dimensional frequency within, right? Within. This is what opens up the gateway to your higher consciousness. And so once you are anchored in that 5D frequency, the loss of resonance that you're going to feel in regard to trying to fit this into an old template of relationship that you've had in the past, it's not going to be resonant with you anymore. It's not going to be something that you're trying to do anymore. And then you'll have the awareness that it was those programs that were trying to make it fit. It wasn't the soul that was trying to make it fit, because the soul is shifting you into the 5D and higher. The soul is wanting to show you what true unconditional love with another is, what it feels like, what it looks like, what it talks like, how it breathes, right? That's what we're doing. And so this is why I say a lot to allow the triggers to come up from the physical twin, but don't be all focusing on what they're doing and all that sort of stuff, because that keeps your focus in a lower vibratory state within. And we are shifting out of that, right? We're shifting out of that. So I hope that helps you guys. I hope that resonates. You guys have an awesome day.